BECs are now a worldwide phenomenon, with networked online gangs springing up everywhere, from the US to Russia to Brazil. But while the scam's origins are unclear, the cybersecurity industry broadly assumes it began in Nigeria because many perpetrators have been traced there.
Breaking news.
When he was still posting regularly, Abbas spoke often about growing up in Oworonshoki, or Oworo, as locals call it, on the western edge of Lagos Lagoon. His father, a Muslim, worked as a taxi driver, and his mother, a Christian, sold bread. Over his dinner with Daddy phrase in 2019, Hushpuppi said he had gravitated towards Islam, but his parents never pressured him to choose between faiths.
Now, growing up, didn't your parents try to push you to one side?
No, never. Not even for once. Not even for once.
So if you decide, say, this Sunday you want to go church?
If you want, I'll try it now. If I call my popsi now, okay, let's put it to test. I swear, you will give you the freedom to do what you like, how
Don't
you like
your
it.
mom. If you tell your mom,
the same thing. They will never argue with you.
He has a cross tattooed on one bicep and a Quranic passage on the other. It's natural for reporters to ask whether there's some key in the past of a figure such as Abbas, something that will unlock the secrets to these alleged criminal motivations. But there's a danger in over-equating background with destiny. Adedeji Oyenuga, a criminologist who studies cybercrime at Lagos State University, spent several years in the mid-2000s living among a group of Yahoo boys who were making their living running scams in and around the area where Abbas grew up. When contacted, Oyenuga didn't recall meeting Abbas, but said some of the former Yahoo boys he knew did. "I know the principal of his secondary school. I know the area he used to play," he said. In the early 2000s, when cyber cafes first started opening across Lagos, some of the neighborhood's young men began drifting into online scamming. The men congregated at a cafe in Bariga, the neighborhood adjacent to Oworo, initially trying to make friends on message boards and in chat room, like young people everywhere. But when they revealed themselves as Nigerian, nobody was interested in them anymore. A stereotype had preceded them onto the internet, born out of the Nigerian prince scam of the 1990s that promised a share of a supposed princess lost fortune if only the mark would wire some money upfront to help retrieve it. With unemployment rising, some of these young men eventually chose to embrace a brand of fraud that became known due to an early reliance on the company's free email accounts, simply as Yahoo. Social media offered a virtually limitless number of targets, often referred to as smuggers, which is local slang that translates to gullible marks. The result was a remarkable level of criminal invention. Scams evolved over a decade from money order fraud to check cashing scams to romance scams to BECs, driven by a confluence of untapped talent and an inept, perennially corrupt government. Cybercrime is a metaphor for a more deep-seated and deep-rooted problem in Nigeria. According to Olayanyika Ankale, a sociology professor at the University of Ibadan who studied youth and cybercrime, when people face survival challenges, they innovate. And when they innovate, if there is no system to address the innovation in a very decisive way, it becomes the norm. Abbas, by his own account, felt the system had particularly abandoned him. When a prominent Nigerian political activist suggested in 2018 that the authorities investigate his source of wealth, he responded with an impassioned Snapchat video rebuttal.
My mother is from the Niger Delta. She has never benefited $1 from the Niger Delta, the oil producing part of Nigeria where she comes from. $1, and she's over 60 years old. In my whole generation, my papa, now only me see escape poverty small. Only me for our whole generation. When I won't come climb that same me, say no, I suppose suffer. Only that me, where escape, where they chop no straight. When I look, I no deserve no straight. As my papa tells you reach, you have to explain to me personally, why is it that my elder sister, the one I was immediately born after, had to die of just typhoid in Nigeria, in Gagada General Hospital? Why did my sister have to die? Because my parents didn't have enough money. Why did she have to die? Because they didn't attend to her quick in the hospital. You have to answer these questions that give me pains that I go through all the time, every day in my life. You have to be able to tell me why my parents have to suffer so much.
Pinning down precise details of when and where Abbas started his alleged online hustle is quite difficult. Oyenuga gave us the number of a man named Noah who said he had known Abbas growing up. When we contacted Noah after weeks of trying, he hedged on the question of how close they have been, noting that he was much older than Abbas. But then, while we were on phone, he flagged down another guy off the streets from the sound of it, who introduced himself as only Jay. Jay remembered Abbas as a friendly kid who never was in trouble, but he had always cultivated an appetite for luxury. When they were growing up, they used to call him Ramoni. He was a fashionista. This account lines up with Abbas' own recollections of his childhood. During a live Instagram chat with a fellow influencer, he once described scoring local stores for the cheapest designer labels he could find and then reselling them around the neighborhood. He said he was buying the designer clothes and couldn't choose himself, and he was going to sell it to people so that he could make profits.
Why? It's because this is what I used to admire when I didn't have it. This is what I used to take to people. This is what I used to go and serve people who had it. I was buying it and I couldn't use it myself, and I was going to sell it to people so I can make profits, you know.
To many of his neighbors, he claimed the wealthy business center of Lagos, the island as it's known, seemed a world away. For Abbas, Lagos fueled his dreams. He had seen how people lived. At one point, his goal was to own a motorcycle and a minibus. However, the goal changed and he began to see a world beyond.
I wrote a post one day that before, my dream in life was to have like 2 Okada and 1 downfall. It was the definition of success to me at one point in my life.
Sometime around 2014, Abbas' dreams lured him out of Lagos to Kuala Lumpur. Part of what Oyenuga describes as an exodus of young Yahoo boys from Nigeria to Malaysia, to the US, to the UK, and to India. Reports show that Abbas managed his money better than many of his compatriots, and that he left for a base from which it was simpler to operate. He went to study in Malaysia, and from there, he lost contact with many of his friends. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, cybercrime had increasingly become a pretext for police abuses. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, which is the agency tasked with investigating digital fraud and money laundering, regularly nabs low-level local grifters, parading their mugshots on social media. But as online scams flourished in the 2000s, The Heavily Armed Special Anti-Robbery Squad, or SARS, a law enforcement division founded in the 1990s to address a rush of robberies and kidnappings, somehow also claimed cybercrime as its purview. The unit became notorious for its brazen extortion and torture of suspects, with unfounded fraud accusations sometimes serving as the excuse for both. Their response has been mainly to arrest and to extrajudicially kill people who they think look like Yahoo boys. Young professionals with laptops and cell phones are always scared of this unit. Matthew Page, who researches Nigerian corruption as an associate fellow at Chatham House, a London think tank, says that has been the worst side effect of a rise in cybercrime. The vilification of a lot of people fingered as Yahoo boys with no real evidence whatsoever. Meanwhile, Hushpuppi is living the good life in Dubai, and some insurance salesman is getting shot in the back in a back alley in Lagos because the police have decided he's a Yahoo boy. We reached out to some former childhood friends of Abbas and asked why he'd left the country. Their response was nearly unanimous. Everyone wants to leave Nigeria. Nigeria is a very hard place to live.